And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have a returning good brother to the temple, coming to us from RP Craft Publishing. Previously, handling a successful Kickstarter on Elite Undead and Brutal Races, and now coming to us soon with a weekly 5e expansion magazine known as the Open Tome. The one and only Celik. How you doing today, man?
It's nice to be here again. And I appreciate the work you do for the community as well.
Thank you. So, I suppose I'll start with the fact that, now correct me if I'm wrong, but the Open Tome is intended to be a weekly 5e magazine. But usually with a setup of having a variety of content. Some of it going to be monsters, some of it going to be races, some of it going to be anything in between. Is that accurate to the project?
It is fairly accurate. Mm-hmm. We scrapped 3 books to distribute it weekly on the newsletter, and some of them are for the expansions of our previous projects, like brutal races, that we renamed to brutal species because of the term change in 2024 edition, right? They are not races anymore, they are species. So an expansion is provided for every people that have signed up for the newsletter for free, and it is 24 pages of content. And for the weekly content, we have a 3 different content categories. One is companions, which is an easy to run and include to the game a companion system that the companions level up with you, but they have easy to run abilities and also as powerful as PCs in a sense, that they fill the role that is missing from the party. Like if your cleric is missing that day, right? Schedule problems arise. So you can just pick up a healing companion and plug it in, and it will not be a burden for the controlling player that uses the companion. It is the intention behind the companion system, and we will be releasing like more than 20 companions throughout the year. The second category is expansions for like brutal races and Elite Undead, and also the future projects that we will do. Mm-hmm. The third content is the third content is an idea that I came up with, but we weren't sure when we would do it. But our writers have gone insane, and he like completed 6 books in a time frame of like 5 months, I guess. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of free time, and he like completed a lot of books that we would not be able to like do crowdfunding for in 3 years, I guess. because of the logistics of the campaign process. So I decided that we could edit these and provide them for free to the community that supported us so greatly in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was, the warlock class is just a spellcaster and not a very good one at that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
So
definitely a very
why
focused
would
one.
sorry?
It's definitely a very focused one.
Yeah. So I thought, why would like Baphomet give out like Eldritch blasts, right? He would like give out muscles or uncontrollable magical rage or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Grazd would give out like diplomatic powers, or Mammon would give out like riches, and Dispater maybe giving out knightly powers, right? So I thought about different warlocks having very different abilities that would like cover the same niches as the player's handbook classes.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be barbarian like warlocks that have magical rage, anger that they can use to fuel their spells and their abilities, or another warrior that get their power from their oath to their patron, but unlike paladins, they would have like have different abilities in like how, I don't know how to describe it, but more warlocky,
Mm-hmm.
right? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I can
Not
get
like an upgraded fight. Instead of an upgraded fighter, it would be like more fighter warlock kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm. No.
And yeah, that way we will be giving out like a lot of classes, and our classes always have 3 different subclasses with them. One is the default one. You can think of champion fighter, right? And one is a more complicated one, like the battle master, and one is an exotic one, like the Eldritch Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we try to like fill out the different needs on that class, and we do this for every single class. So I guess we will be giving out 8 or 10 classes over the year.
Mm-hmm.
These are the general categories that we are planning for now.
Yeah. Now, I think one of the places that I'd want to go into is kind of how this whole idea of doing a weekly series of expansions in a zine came to be. Now, obviously, expansion zines are nothing new. There's been stuff like Cobalt Quarterly and all the stuff that was in Dragon magazine for years. But was this something that you guys had been considering doing for the longest time, or does its origins start a bit earlier?
It is fairly new, actually. We were going to do like a lot of things on crowdfunding, but as I said, it would take a lot of time, and we had the content. So I thought about community building and how our Brutal Races campaign took a long time to like fulfill and complete.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about how to keep the community engaged, in a sense, and doing it by providing a value instead of uh, doing weekly polls or asking like irrelevant questions once in a while, or just advertising without substance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could give out 3 books worth of content each year. That is not a significant burden on us, and we are an ambitious lot. So uh, even big companies don't give out weekly content like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that would provide a lot of value for the community, I guess, especially the ones that play our games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could
So
get
we
that.
sorry.
I could get that.
Yeah, so we wanted to provide the community the support they gave us, right? Give back the support in kind,
Mm-hmm.
and give them a lot of content that they would enjoy.
Yeah.
So we thought of this newsletter idea in November, I guess, and in January we launched it.
Yeah. And is it is each of the ones that each of the issues that you add and the content within it, is it largely going to be following up on an existing book?
Some of them are like Brutal Races and Elite Undead, but Companions and the Warlocks are the book it would be named Pact Bound. So I guess we can call it Pact Bound.
Mm-hmm.
So Pact Bound and Companions are completely new, and maybe we will be compiling them and improving upon them in the future, but for now it will be an exclusive content on the newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely get that. Now,
Thank you.
with that in mind, when it comes to some of the content, when it comes to page count for each individual issue, do you guys have a hard cap on how many pages a individual issue of the newsletter can be, or is it however many it takes kind of thing?
It's however many pages it gets, it needs to be like if we need like 6 pages of content for something, it will be 6 pages. But if we need like 1.5 pages, it will be that. But I guess a class takes up a lot of pages, like 9 plus in general, with the art and stuff. So especially the weeks with the classes, they will take a lot of space. But I guess the subclasses are the least real estate intensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
They take up 1 page with the art. So the subclasses would be the thinner ones, and the classes would be the thicker ones.
Yeah. Now, within the within the sign-up rewards that you have, which anybody can grab, and I will make sure to have a link in the description for people to sign up. You have three bits, and I did want to get into these a bit. Obviously, two of them that are relatively small, and then the significantly larger one. First being the Churgrum, which I believe you're describing as a Goliath orc variant.
Yeah.
The Gutter Rager, which is a subclass for Barbarian, and the expansion for and the whole new species of Sahaugen. So
Yeah.
I'll start with the Chugrin. What can you tell me about what they bring to the table?
The content that we took out of the actual book because of the OGL status. Like, if we were selling the book, we couldn't include it, but we have already written it before we researched the OGL. Not researched, but realized that we can't put it in a commercial book, but we can give it out as homebrew, as free content, right? And so we gave it out for free on the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of the content categories in our book. They are the half orcs. We have given, I believe, more than 10 different half orc species in our book, like half elf, half orc, half goblin, half orc, and everything that we provided. And every single one is very different from each other, and Churgrum would be one of them. But we had to take it out, but we could give it out for free, so we did.
All right, I can get that. Now, with the Gutter Rager, which is again a subclass of Barbarian, what is that bringing to the table in terms of playstyle?
It is, the 5th edition lacks the ability to control the battlefield for melee types.
Mm-hmm.
If the enemy wants to go past you, you have nothing to do to stop them. Actually, you can maybe make one opportunity attack, but that doesn't even stop them unless you have the ability to stop them with an opportunity attack. And you would have to stand in a doorway to stop them. If you are in a room, you would have to position very, very carefully to keep the enemies at bay, and it defeats the purpose of a wizard behind the fighter, right? Or the barbarian, or the barbarian going forward into the enemies to keep them at bay. The best defense is offense, but it doesn't work. So we thought about a barbarian with area of effect rage that would make him make the barbarian an obstacle to cross, right? So this was our original barbarian subclass that we would be including in the book, but we scrapped the idea because the first ideas that came into our mind were done by Wizards of the Coast, actually, for the mushroom toxic druid subclass.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanics and the explanation of the mechanics were very similar, so we scrapped the Gutter Rager actually. So when we were doing the newsletter, we decided to revive the Gutter Rager with different abilities and a freshened lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here it is.
Oh yeah, I can certainly get it. And then we have the Sahaugen, which is the biggest of the three, which covers the Sahaugen as a race, covers some of its sub races, as well as covering a half orc variant of it.
Yeah.
So as well as a few NPCs, and all that totals out to about 24 pages. So, of the three, was that the one that was developed first, or were the other ones developed first?
Actually, it is the last one that was developed. We wanted to start the newsletter with a bang, and unknown projects that are from the future, like companions and the pact bound, would not be very attractive, right? We would have to first get the community that we have already signing up to the newsletter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to make it the expansion to brutal species. So we thought about what would we cover if the campaign went on a little bit longer, and we thought about Savagin. They are the orcs of the sea. They are opposing the sea elves, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are raiding and they are very vicious. So it was a good fit, and the sea was something that we didn't cover very well in the book.
Mm-hmm. Which is understandable, since doing combat underwater, doing encounters underwater is one of those things that there's not a whole lot of support on.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like official support, but just there haven't been a whole lot of people who've done that sort of thing that can kind of set a precedent. So when doing it, you're kind of flying blind.
Yeah. Actually, there's a saying in game design circles that if a game is they mean the official one is doing like sea and pirates, it means that it is drawing its last breaths, right? Especially the D&D type fantasy kitchen sink games, because there are a lot of things on the land, and the sea is very vast and empty. Actually, it is hard to fill. So I guess it's not a surprise that Sawagin was the last race that we would do
Mm-hmm.
for the brutal species.
Yeah. Even though a lot of people who've seen classic monsters are going to be familiar with the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is always going to get brought up when dealing with this kind of monster.
Yeah. But it turned out very good, actually. I like it, and we play tested it. It was actually very fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the idea for the sign up rewards, I guess.
Oh yeah, I can definitely get that. But with that in mind, the other thing that I couldn't help but notice just looking at the site is the fact that you have the schedule planned throughout the next several weeks, and giving a date for each of them. And Was it a case where before you even went live with this that you had the dates for everything up through May 5th planned out?
Yeah, the dates were finalized early December,
Hmm.
I guess. And the content was in layout in December, according to this. And I guess we are ready throughout the first 10 weeks.
Hmm.
And they are ready to provide to the community. So actually I have a Google sheet that plans out the whole year, but we are doing changes and switching out stuff to like not repeatedly give out companions content or brutal races content or whatever back to back. So last three months is not finalized yet, but I guess we are good until September for in the first 2 weeks of January.
Yeah, I can certainly get that.
Thank you.
With some of the entries, I was a bit curious if these are intended to be subclasses or full-on classes. One of them being the Battle Mage entry that you have planned in March.
It is a companion that's the companions level up when you get 2 levels, and they have 10 levels, but they have 2 hit dice per level or something, right? And they select one ability from two choices each level. So when they are level 10, they have 10 abilities, but from 20 different choices. You can make a combination of like tens of combinations, but they are thematically done. Like battle mage can be anything, like a battle mage of like royal army, or it can be an elf that protects their forests, or it can be anything. Actually, it can be a cultist, it can be something else. It is up to the DM and the players to like flavor it. They are archetypes. So the battle mage is actually a kind of companion.
Which I can get. And I'm guessing when you start putting out stuff for companions, will you be putting out a kind of blank sheet for companions, or is that not something that's finalized yet?
We actually thought it would be easy to like take notes in a blank paper, but I guess with the feedback we received, we would have to provide a character sheet for the companions that would be easier than the player character sheet to fill in. So the players and the DM would keep track of the companion better, and we are working on that right now.
Now, when it comes to some of the expansions that you have on the list, some of these are most definitely subclasses, but I am a bit curious what they would be, what their parent class would be. And one of the ones I was curious about was going to be the War Chief. Is that a subclass for fighter or for a different class?
It is a subclass for the war chief class that we gave out with our book.
Yeah, right. My bad. I completely forgot.
No worries.
Completely slipped my mind about that.
Yeah, we gave out 5 different classes: a war chief, talon, a marauder, ancestral shaman, and yeah. Forgot my own classes. Sorry.
No worries. It's that time of day. But
yeah, it's a bit late for me now. So
yeah,
we gave out 5 classes with 3 different subclasses, and this is one of them, war chief.
Yep. So
and yeah,
I guess instead I'll shift into some of the entries you have with companions. Now, you mentioned that you're going with a simplified half-level approach when it comes to companions. Now, with each time taking a different choice. With that in mind, are things like Ravager or Iron Bolt or Battle Mage that you've got listed as part of the whole companions thing, are those going to be akin to like micro classes specifically for companions, or is there a different approach planned?
They will be micro classes actually, like you said. They are intended to be easy to run. So if someone wants to learn D&D, but they don't want to like commit to a weekly schedule, you can just whip out a companion in like 3 minutes, and they can fill out like a missing player or something. Or if one of your friends are busy that night and you want to play, and they are important to the party in the role they fill, right? You can give one player to fill out a companion, and they can like run the companion alongside with their regular character, and the party would not be like underpowered against the regular things that the DM prepared for that session. That's the idea.
Yeah, I can get that. In a roundabout way, it sounds not too far removed from the fellow system that's within Sword World 2.5, but that's a whole other story that I've covered quite a bit on this channel. Though, speaking of, the fellows in that have a kind of soft AI so that it could be used by the player, but not necessarily have them juggling yet another sheet, i.e., so that there's if they want to do like randomized actions and the like. Do you have something like that? Do you have something like that to cover that kind of thing when it comes to companions, or would they be controlled by a player?
It is up to the people that are on the table, around the table. If they want to make it like run by GM or the players, they can decide that. But the abilities and everything is set up to be very, very easy to run and remember. Like, they don't get save DC abilities and many condition dropping abilities or something. Their additional effects, like we conceived of a mechanic that the additional abilities only trigger with a critical hit, right? it is easy to remember and easy to run. So they are actually very easy to run. So instead of running 2 characters, it feels like 1.25 characters.
I can certainly get that, and it probably wouldn't be advisable to have a bunch of full-on players and then a bunch of minions as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to stop somebody from doing that, but you get what you pay for in that kind of situation. You know.
People like that complexity, but I know that we live in a fast world, and this is actually intended to be like filler characters, and intended to like fill out the missing player actually without being a burden to the others, especially the GM.
Yeah, I can definitely get that. Now, with that in mind, when it comes to the ones that are I would like to pick your brain as far as what their playstyle is going to be. For example, with the Iron Bolt. I mean, I could make some guesses that they'd be using crossbows, but that's a guess, obviously. What would their particular playstyle be centered around?
It's a crossbow expert that is also heavily armored. They are not directly comparable to the classes actually. Like Ravager is similar to Barbarian but doesn't rage. It is like a frontline fighter.
Just a frontline fighter with a lot of HP?
Yeah, a lot of HP and damage. Iron Bolt is like a crossbowman with heavy armor, like plate armor or palisade shield, right? And it gets extra damage if it doesn't move. So it means that the less you play it hands-on, the more effective it gets. That's actually according to the purpose of the companions. So like that, I actually want to talk about the spellcasting companions.
Yeah, that was was one of the things I was gonna ask about, since if it's gonna be about simplified variants of existing classes, how would spellcasting work out?
The spellcasting works like class abilities. Like if you get a healer, it just heals instead of using the player spells. Like it has an ability to heal 3 people for X amount of HP, right? And it can like use abilities that are similar to spells, but they are very simplified, so that you won't be researching a lot of spells to give out to your companion. But every single spellcaster, especially the wizard-like ones, have the optional ability to like learn spells, but it is not the intended design of them. So it is not recommended, but if it breaks the immersion and you want to like deal with it, we give the option to like learn new spells or use player spells, but they have the abilities that are enough to carry their weight around the players. So you don't need to fiddle with the spells using the companions.
Mm-hmm. Which certainly would make sense. If you're trying to go for this sort of simple, then having the full spells per day thing, like a full or even a half caster, wouldn't really fit. Wouldn't really fit. And given that, I can kind of see the direction of things as far as which ones would have sort of that same association. I suppose. Though one of the ones that's there is Necromancer, and in a lot of games that have had Necromancer classes, they usually have undead companions. But in keeping with that simplicity, I'm guessing that's not exactly going to be the case with that version of Necromancer that you have for companions, because you'd be stacking extra friends on extra friends.
Yeah. The companion, the Necromancer companion is one of the complex ones, but according to compared to the other companions, it is easier to run than a player that has minions.
Mm-hmm.
And their minions that they summon are temporary, and it is not like they raise a lot of minions and they compound on top of the controlling player.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the challenge that we have to tackle, and we can change it according to the feedback. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
they are all like in a Google Drive folder, so we can update it if the players don't like it. And the newsletter is very open to feedback, and we can add anything to it or like change the content according to the feedback and the playtests.
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually very freeform. So we would be very welcoming the feedback about the companions actually.
Yeah, and when it comes to all that. Now, normally I would ask about the release window or the like, but instead I'll ask that, as I understand it, this isn't each individual entry is going to be a collection of different PDFs, much like the stuff you had sent me, instead of one unified book.
Yeah, they will be, because I want people to give feedback to our content, and we would be able to edit it and change it according to the community's needs and their like brilliant ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not a published book and it will not be printed. Why not include the community in it, right? I don't see a reason not to include the community and their ideas in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have them separated, because editing and changing something in a like 100-page PDF is significantly harder than a 2-page PDF.
Yeah, I can get that, and I will definitely be looking forward to seeing how it develops. But with all that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my temple and enjoy the madness that happens around here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the work you do, and thank you very much for hosting me here again.
Mm-hmm. And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there will be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Tome